everyone. As Deez said, I'm Sandra Moore. I'm going to do a whistle-stop tour about my background and how I've arrived at where I've arrived today. My story began 25th of August 1962 in Jamaica. I was born in Kingston, grew up in Portland, which is in the country. If anyone you know Jamaica, Buff Bay, Plum Valley. Arrived here as part of the Windrush generation, 6.5 years old, as it was in them days, and a lot of you may be able to identify with this. Parents came before, then they sent for their children, they made, prepared, etc. So I came up in 20th of February 1969, came to this country, it was very cold. My first snack was Ritz biscuits and the cheese. Didn't like the cheese, was very different to what I was used to. A couple of days later it snowed. I thought it was manna from heaven because I'd not seen snow before. And then a couple of months later I had a very disempowering experience, and I call it an experience because it's inexperience. I'm not going to call it abuse. So not many of you know, some of you are very close to me know this, but the abuse started between the age of 7 to the age of 9. Never told anyone. It wasn't until I was about 16, 17 that I happened to just drop it in conversation with my mum, who was very shocked, very upset, didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it after I told her. But it explained for me as I've got older, there's low self-esteem, the attachment, all of the above that people know about, and it's taken me since that age to hit Big Birthday last year to actually step through that door of masterhood. And along the way I've had some key moments in my life, and when I look back on that I just see them as experiences to make me who I am today. I don't label them in a negative way or use negative words for it. But there are some key significant women that have been in my life. My grandmother, who sadly passed away just after I had my first child. Obviously my mum. My nursing teacher, went into nursing at 18, and I was free from home. I was loving it. Failed the first year of intermediate. I'd gone in to do what it was called at the time, state registered nurse. Failed the first year. Got scared. Then one of the tutors there, she wasn't my tutor, she was from Guyana, and she called me into her office and she said, "You're not here to party." Very strict with me, like how my mum would be. She sat down, "You're not here to party, you're here to learn. You've got to make a difference, you've got to work twice as hard as any of your other peers." And following on from what Manisha said about being the only black person there, I've had that throughout my life. So in nursing I trained in a rural area, handful of black nurses. I had a double-barreled name at the time, and nursing office came on board. "Oh, who's this Nurse Parks Williams? Who's this?" Because she obviously thought with that name it was someone from the middle class or upper class, whatever. And when she saw me, her face just went, "Oh," and just turned away and walked around. And I clocked it, but it didn't bother me. Didn't say anything about it. Qualified as a nurse, and then was looking after oncology patients with blood disorders, so sickle cell. Got attached, emotional attachment, couldn't cope with it, and I got hauled over the coals, so I changed career. And at the time that I changed career, I had met my first son's partner. Again, that was I'm not going to say it was abuse or anything like that, because it was an experience. It taught me how to be resilient. It taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet. So all the way through, every knock I have had, I refer to them as it's a gift. I slowly got my power back. So changed career, became a chartered environmental health officer, and have always been in the field for health, looking after people, helping people, be it on a one-to-one as in nursing or in a community. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, my marriage of 24 years fell apart. Again, it was another fall down, get up moment. And I then realised I was drinking too much. Wasn't an alcoholic, but I was drinking too much, and then decided that I needed to find something to heal me properly before I can continue. I had 3 sons, but they were grown, mostly grown. They were watching their mother, how their mother reacted to the divorce. Now, I had friends that said, oh, you should cut his clothes up, you should do this, you should do that. I've always said my marriage was good until it broke down. I've never badmouthed my ex-husband because there's no need to do that. I've got children by him, so I'm not going to do that. So I started to go inward and heal myself, and I've arrived at colour therapy, sound therapy, all sorts of different energetic work, and I can truly say that that has helped me. I'm now qualified in doing sound therapy, colour therapy. I've recently qualified as a heart math certified coach, which is mostly about focusing on the heart. So when you're in stress, when you are reacting in a way that you don't want to react, you're losing your mind, you're shouting, you're screaming, or whatever it is you do to let that rage out, what that teaches you is to focus on the heart. Think of something joyful, think of someone that you love being with, and just focus on that to break that neural path that you may have created, and it's just a default zone, and it does work. So I've recently qualified as that. I also run health and wellbeing courses, and quite a few of you here have been on it, been on my retreat that I ran last year, and we'll be running some more. So what I'm trying to say is there is lots of tools out there to help us in our everyday life, to help us with our health and wellbeing, to help us to get on that path to heal inward. We don't always need to turn to drink, to do this, to do that. You can find your own way in healing yourself and do that work. I believe that is inner connection. Once you've connected with yourself, everything else flows. You know what you're about, you know what your joy is, you know what makes you sad, you know what boundaries you need to set for yourself so others don't cross it. Bear that in mind though, we sometimes cross our own boundaries. We sometimes break our own boundaries down because it's easier not to. It's harder to keep your boundary. And I've broken a few of mine over the last few months because my youngest son hasn't got a car anymore, and I've got times in my diary that I've set aside for me, and it's, oh mum, can you give me a lift to basketball? So what does mum do? Oh yes son, I'll give you a lift to basketball. So my relaxation time, or my social time that I've planned, goes out the window. But to me, it's my son, so I'm going to do it. But be aware of where you set your boundaries and who you allow to break them, because once that happens, they'll keep doing it again and again until you're eroded away, and then you've got nothing left for yourself. So I want to just say thank you to a number of women, some living, some not even living in this country, but some are here in this room today. As my mum, my grandma, that teacher, Miss Din, who said to me, you're not here to party, you're here to learn. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have become a state registered nurse, or whatever it is they call it now, registered general or whatever, because I was there to party. She set me 5 essays a week, plus working. One day she came on the ward. I saw her, I hid. I drew the curtains round the patient. And all I heard, she had a shrill voice, "Nurse Marks Williams!" I can't go out there. She walked right up and pulled the curtains back. And she said to me, where's the 5 essays? Oh, I couldn't do them because I had to rehearse for my friend's wedding. I'm chief bridesmaid. She said to me, when's the wedding? I said, the wedding's 2 days' time. She goes, right. Those 5 essays has got to be with me, and every week she held me accountable for those 5 essays. So much so when it came to the finals, I finished an hour before everybody else because it just flowed. I owe it to her. I don't know if she's alive. I lost touch with her. I owe it to her, I think, for why I'm standing here today, because the nursing sort of springboarded me onto environmental health, and then environmental health has springboarded me onto the health and well-being. So all I'm saying is that if you've got it within you, You just got to dig deep, connect, and do what you're meant to be doing. And the other thing, the last thing I do, I told Dee, and I think I've told V this as well, at the age of 60, I'm going back to university. Because of my passion in nutrition, because I run gut health workshops, etc., because of my passion in that, I just thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna do it, and it's another path. But if you followed what I've said, all my life, my career has been helping others, nursing, environmental health, etc. So that will be my next stop. So.